welcome to the Mighty Voices podcast. My name is Levi Knight, Youth Programme Coordinator for the Mighty Creatives. I'm joined by
Shantelle York, member of the Youth Board.
And Myles Clear, member of the Youth Board as well.
Yes, Myles, you jumped in there. I like that. And this podcast is here to discuss topics that young people are interested in and that concern young people. And what we try and do here is discuss the impact of creativity on these topics. So, seeing as Myles, you're new to the Youth Board, you can start with this. So what I want to know is, what book are you reading, or what piece of art have you seen, heard, or discovered this week that's had an impact on you?
So I'm not actually very good at reading, but I am kind of into art, I suppose. But the first thing that comes to my mind is, at the moment, I've been really into statistics. There's this website called Statasia, and they gather statistics on hundreds of people across the world, and they talk about everything from what kind of hobbies do you get up to what kind of stuff do you like to do for work. And the reason that I'm interested in that is because I'm learning German at the moment.
Okay.
And it's a really good way to get an idea of the kind of culture of how people are feeling in different countries. So the other day we saw one and it was like how many people have painted a picture in Sweden since 2000 to 2018. Yeah, so that's the kind of stuff that I've been looking at the moment.
You are our stats guy now.
Yeah,
whenever we need a stat, it's going to be like, Myles, you got the stats for us. I think that's quite interesting. So you're learning German?
Yeah.
And I like the take on learning the culture, not just the language.
Yeah, no, because it's that thing, isn't it? If you can watch, you can listen to German music or watch TV shows, but I find that things like statistics and then also memes give you a really good sense as to how people are kind of feeling. Because I feel like in our country, I feel like you can look at our memes and get a sense for how everyone's feeling. So stuff like that's really useful. Yeah,
that's a wicked point of view. You know, I've never thought about that.
Yeah,
like, because you're in it, like, you know, just checking an area's memes.
Yeah, no,
or
honestly,
things like that. Oh, that's wicked. Yeah, thanks for that. I appreciate that. I'm a bit taken back by that. I don't know where to go now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool to start with.
Sorry.
Yeah, man, you just blown us out the water there. Yo, big up, Myles. I'll go next. I've just brought a new book. I've had these book vouchers for, I don't even know, a long, long time. So I was in Waterstones the other day and I saw a book. I can't even remember the name of it. I can't remember. I just like the cover and I was like, yeah, I'm going to get that. And it's a wicked book. It's all about magic, and there's 3 different Londons. There's like a grey London, a black London, and a red London. And in red London, they champion magic. Everybody supports magic. Do you get what I mean? It's like a normal thing. In black London, magic is like forgotten. So when people bring up magic, it's like witches. You know, like a witch hunt. Do you get what I mean? They get burnt at the stake and things like that. And then in grey London, it's like, it's devoid of all colour. It's cold, it's freezing, and they're just angered at the fact that they're forgotten by the other Londons. So it's quite interesting. I like a good sci-fi fantasy novel with a bit of magic, couple dragons and all of that. So that's where I am right now.
If you had to be in a London, what London would you want to be in?
Definitely red London.
Red London, yeah, red London.
Definitely, like, the River Thames is red. Do you get what I mean? The River Thames is red, and everybody has an experience of magic. Do you get what I mean? Even if it's such a small thing, it's so normal. Do you know what I mean? It'd be awkward not to have magic. Whereas in the other Londons, it's a bit different. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's where I am. And you know what it is? Before the end of the podcast, I will give you the name of that. The Fragile Threads of Magic. That's what it's called. It's by V.E. Schwab. Anyway, yeah. So that's where I am. Really good book. I'm into it. I got like 4 other books I'm reading right now. But yeah. What are you saying, Shantelle? Back again.
Yeah, back for another episode.
It's great to have you.
At the minute, I've been sort of binge watching another podcast, actually, The Diary of a CEO by Stephen Bartlett.
Yeah.
And some of the people on there, like some of the discussions, like I was listening to one episode and it was talking about like when people are stressed, like it actually releases something in your body that goes out to the people around you. So, like, it's an actual physical thing. It's not just in your own head. Like, that just blew my mind that it actually transforms and changes the environment around you when you're stressed. Like,
makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. I was on an anxiety training course yesterday, and what they were saying was a lot of the time, anxiety manifests in physical issues, but we overlook the physical issues because we feel like the anxiety is strictly mentally, not physically. Do you get what I mean? So it's quite interesting that you brought that up. I like that.
Yeah,
I like
it's
that a lot.
interesting to like think about these things. Yeah, it's how things actually manifest into the world. Like I love that kind of stuff. You know, manifesting, law of attraction, all
I'm
of that.
with that. Oh, Chantal, we're
But
singing.
that's a
off the same
whole
one.
other discussion we could get into.
Absolutely, that's a whole new podcast.
Yeah.
Laws of attraction. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think that's really dope, man. I like that a lot. So today's podcast, we're going to be speaking about pathways, and we're also going to touch on children in need, because it is November the 17th and it's BBC Children in Need Day. BBC Children in Need believes that every child should have the chance to thrive and be the best they can be. They are committed to being there for children across the UK when they need them most. Together with the BBC and their partners, Children in Need inspire the nation to support this work. Children in Need take place every year in the UK. Its goal is to raise money to support children across the country, with funding being divided between thousands of charities. Yo, it's really good, man, because you know what? Since I was a kid, Children in Need's been going on, you know what I mean? And they do some really, really good work. So my question to that is, do you think creativity plays a role in the work Children in Need do?
I think so, yeah, 100%, because I think Children in Need is just all about creativity, isn't it? It's about being creative in ways to, you know, fundraise or, you know, make donations, or it's also just being creative with all like the celebrities that they get involved with things. So, you know, whether that is like, one thing I know about Children in Need, I think, is when they put on these not sitcoms, like skits, where celebrities are like messing around and dressing up and stuff like that. And I think that is creativity, and it makes it a fun experience. And I think, like you said as well, like I have memories from being a child as well, and like Children in Need is there with like the pudsey ears, and yeah, it's just a creative, fun time, I think, definitely.
100%.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I'm sure if I go back through my cupboards, I could probably find some pudsey ears from from a few years ago. Yeah, no, I do think they definitely, like, have to be creative, like you say, like, you know, the creative in terms of, you know, the clothes, they've got their own branding, and then also pulling all these celebrities from these different areas. You know, there'll be actors there, you know, Joe Wicks is doing something this year. He's obviously, you know, PE of that.
He's doing the... I'm sure he's leading the Take on Pudsey Burpees challenge. So it says, time is running out. Sign up for the Pudsey Burpees challenge today and receive a free Pudsey sweatband if you're in the first 10,000 to sign up and raise £50. So this is another way in which they use that creativity. And I think the nature of the way they get their donations and the fact that they're a charitable organization and they're a charity, they have to be creative in the way they encourage people to donate, because let's be real, it's difficult out, especially right now with the cost of living crisis and things like that, for people to donate. So they've got to find ways of galvanizing and engaging people. And I think one way they do that, and they do it very well, is getting the celebrities involved. Because if you see a celebrity, it's like, yeah, man, they're involved, yeah. Do you get what I mean? It pulls you in, especially with the young people. And I think they do a great job in getting young people involved in the whole Children in Need experience, because they are the future. Do you get what I mean? They're supporting children now, but there will always be a turnover of children that need supported at some point. Ideally, we want to be at a point where no children are in need anymore. Do you get what I mean? So, I think they are very creative in the things that they do. Like, for example, they've got the Pudsey Burpees challenge. They've got the Appeal Show. And then they've got a thing called the Challenge Squad. So what the Challenge Squad is, this year they've teamed up with The One Show, Morning Live, and BBC Radio 2 to launch an extra special event, the Challenge Squad. So the Epic Challenge Squad is made up of 4 inspirational young people who have benefited from BBC Children in Need funding, who will be championed by Jermaine Genus, Alex Jones, Roman Kemp, and Vernon Kay, as they undertake incredible personal challenges to make a difference to young lives. You can find out more about the Challenge Squad members on the website, but I just think it's another way in which they include the young people that have actually been directly impacted by Children in Need, and they work alongside celebrities on some of the biggest shows on the BBC. So I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's really nice as well, because it's like these people that have been impacted by Children in Need are still working alongside the charity, and the charity's made a real difference in their lives to the point where it's still carrying on, maybe when they're outside of the category it's being classed, because you'd think child and you'd think, oh, under 18, but I know Children in Need give money to the Mighty Creatives, but Mighty Creatives will work with people up to, I think it's 25, isn't it? So it's that kind of thing of it stays with you, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that, Myles,
Yeah.
because I'd like to say something about that. It's like Children in Need they've funded the Mighty Creative since 2018 with regards to creative mentoring. So what this is, we support post-16 young people, and our creative mentors, they help assist and support their choices in terms of pathways. So whether that be education, employment, or training, they provide the hours to support a post-16 young person into that transition. Because I think it's a difficult period when you get to that point. It's like, what do you do? Do you continue? Do you go college? When I was young, it was all, you either went college or you went to work. Do you know what I mean? And I think with creativity now, quite there's an acceptance and an awareness of creativity. I think your pathways into education, employment, and training are slightly different now because of that added influence of creativity. And that leads me on to my next question for you guys. Has creativity ever helped you with pathways choices?
Yeah, definitely. So I think not only do I work in a creative career, so I do animation, like design and, you know, websites and stuff, all very like creative things. So yeah, so that is creativity in my career. But also in the journey that I actually took to get to where I am, I had to be quite creative. So it wasn't quite a straightforward journey to get into the position that I am now. Like I went from GCSEs and then I went to do A-levels, and, you know, I didn't get on with A-levels at all. I knew it wasn't the path for me. So it was, you know, creative thinking of, okay, then what can I do, you know, to get to the next stage of something that I do enjoy more. And then I went to college, and then that also didn't, you know, wasn't the right thing for me either. I wanted to work in animation. I wanted to be an animator. It was my dream, my goal. And, you know, I've been working, you know, self-teaching myself for years. And then my teacher told me that I wouldn't be able to get into animation and I wouldn't be able to work as a professional animator unless I went to university. But in my mind, that was not an option for me. Like, I just knew that it didn't sit right for my life path. So it was then, when you're sort of faced with a situation, it's again like being creative and thinking, okay, so I need to think outside the box. It's thinking creatively to go that different direction and to not be afraid of that, I guess. And it's the creative mindset, I think, isn't it? It's to just do things differently and make your own path in life. And I think that is a core element of me. Like every single day, like I think I make a decision that's making my own path. It's, you know, creating your own journey. It's not sticking to what's already drawn out for you, or, you know, what other people are trying to draw out for you. It's doing that for yourself and going your own way. I think that's so important. And
it's a real bravery as well. A real bravery. Like, I think it's a bit harsh that teachers saying that that's the only pathway. And I think as well, sometimes, you know, with teachers or people in that environment, they've been trained in one way. Do you get what I mean? It's not so much creativity within their pathway. Do you get what I mean? They've got to where they are because it was about hard work, a lot of theory from textbooks and, you know, things of that nature to get to where they are. So I think there was probably a battle within themselves in terms of when a student says they want to do something creative, it's kind of like, no, you can't do that. That's a hobby. That's a pastime. Do you know what I mean? That's not what we do for certain. So I think it's quite admirable, the bravery that you've taken. And I think you should touch on Shanimation.
So the Shanimation is sort of my stage name, my brand, my persona. And yeah, that's just who I am. I'm Shanimation. I make animations, I make videos, I do designs, you know.
When did you start Shanimation?
Way back when I was like 9 or 10 years old. So this is like over a decade ago now. I'm 22 now. But yeah, it's just grown and developed from, like, I had a YouTube channel where I did my little animations on there and, you know, Lego and stop motion, and then it goes into digital animation, and then it goes more into like motion graphics, and now it's like videos and like websites and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a journey, but I think the consistent thing has been Shanimation. I mean, I'm wearing a jacket right now that says Shanimation on the back of it.
Branding.
Yeah, that's it.
Promotion.
You know? Yeah, I've been representing. So
it's a nice jacket. I can't even lie.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. I think that's really good. So, you know, with regards to that, do you have any tips for any young people that might be thinking of taking a creative route and they're unsure?
I think it's important to think about what you want for yourself, because I think sometimes, I think in the creative careers as well, you know, people say, oh, you can't be an artist, you know, it's this stereotype of the starving artist. So instead of, you know, going into a creative career, why don't you just do something stable, or, you know, like an office job or a 9 to 5 or something like that. And I think it's okay if that's not what you want to do. Like, there's creative people for a reason, and, you know, there's so many people who are thriving in the creative industry. So if people are telling you, like, you can't do that, that's not possible, if you believe that you can, I think that's the key thing. It's believing in yourself. If you know that you don't want to do this thing that everyone else is telling you to do, or is seeming good for other people, if you want to go creative, then go creative.
I love that. Love that. Thank you for that. What about you, Myles?
Just to kind of follow on from what you said, I think like the kind of situation that you described, where like a teacher has said, you know, oh, this is how it's got to be. I think for you to do what you did, I think the way you've kind of described your creativity, I think that's very like linked to resilience as well. Because for you to actually do that, that's you saying, you know, like you say, like self-belief, like, I can do it. I'm going to keep going. Like, you've been going since you were 9.
Yeah.
Still going strong.
Yeah, still going strong. I put my order in for one of them jackets. Yeah, and also like when you say about pathways and stuff, you know, a lot of the time when people might interact with these kinds of, you know, different disciplines for the first time is like through school. So, you know, your experience of like a GCSE art lesson, you know, an art class in year 7, and that kind of could become your perception of this is what art is, this is what music is. But that is just one pathway. Yeah. That's one interpretation of how you could interact with art. And then when you're studying in that kind of situation, you are kind of, you know, especially at GCSE level or before you've even picked it, you're kind of limited to the scope of what that subject,
what the syllabus is.
Yeah, what the syllabus is. And then that in itself limits your perception of what the pathway could be. So it's almost like, it's a bit of a tricky one, isn't it?
Not to cut you off. So is it an argument to say that it becomes a lot clearer what creative pathway you'd like to take the older you get?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's something that I've definitely kind of encountered. Like when I was growing up and I was younger and I first started interacting with music, I was like, I'm gonna be a rock star, you know, I'm gonna be center stage. And then after that, I was kind of like, oh no, what about you know, once I started performing, I was like, oh no, I talk to people for my tech requirements. And then after that, I was like, maybe I could do the tech side. And then after that, I was like, oh no, I'm learning. And then I was like, maybe I could be a teacher. And almost kind of every part of music I've explored has opened up kind of another career, like by doing it. And like for me, I've chosen to stay on the educational kind of pathway of it, but only because that's something that I get enjoyment out of still, you know. If that wasn't the right pathway for me, I would, and alongside education, I explore my creative interests as well, you know, because you're not always allowed to, you know, in that scope. So
that kind of ties back into that belief, innit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think what you make such a valid point there. It's all about exploration. Yeah. So sometimes the thing that you want to do, it might not be screaming at you straight away. You've got to go and explore that. So like you said, each area of music you explored, you was thinking, oh, I could see myself doing something like this. Do you get what I mean? And I don't think we're afforded enough time sometimes as young people to go and explore and see what it is that we actually want to do. Do you know what I mean? So I think you make a really great point there.
And it's even stuff like, you know, your first experience of it, like classroom restraints as well. Like my school used to have a kitchen and they said that they did food tech lessons, but we never actually got to do that because there wasn't the time, the space or whatever. So yeah,
it's like there's more of a focus on the definites, because I think creativity is quite unpredictable. Do you get what I mean? Whereas maths, English, your core subjects, they're quite certain. Do you get what I mean? There's not much of an unpredictability there. You're either going to be able to do it or you're not. Whereas I think creativity, it's so unpredictable and so vague and so wide in terms of, I might not rate one person, but another person thinks they're great. Do you get what I mean? And I think that's really refreshing about creativity.
a lot of the kind of discussions that we're having at the moment, like me and people that I know, is like the definition of like what is like an artist, basically. So like we're obviously talking about in a music context, like what makes a musician, but I guess that kind of extends to this because it's almost like, I think how you're saying about you've got to be resilient and find your own path, and that it's kind of how you view yourself as interacting with the creativity that can kind of shape, you know, this
I
path
agree.
that you build for yourself.
I like that question. What is an artist?
Yeah.
Because what is an artist? Do you know what I mean? It's like so open to where I think it depends on where you sit as a creative, as a person. Do you know what I mean? My definition might be different to your definition. Still the same and still hold the same value, but they're different because we view it from a different viewpoint. And I agree. I think creativity has definitely helped me in terms of career. So my artistic practices, I make music. I'm a rapper. I'm not your typical rapper though. I don't swear in my music. I don't say the M word. It's all music for my children. Do you get what I mean? I'm creating like an audiobook for my children. So when they grow, they don't think daddy's chatting rubbish all the time or he's going off. He knows some stuff. So from that point there, I always felt like I needed to be working with young people in some kind of way. Do you get what I mean? Like in some capacity. I used to work in a housing association and I was doing repairs. I was paid really well, but I just had no satisfaction or joy in that. And then things happened and I moved on. And then I took the leap and got into youth work, freelance youth mentor and stuff like that. And I think it's the best thing that I've ever done. It's my passion. It's like I wake up and I smile going to work and things like that. And I think if it wasn't for me making music or rapping or having that mission statement of trying to guide the next generation, do you know what I mean? Trying to help them progress, creating an audiobook for my children and just making sure it's positive music. If I didn't have that at the beginning, I don't think I'd be in the role that I am now. Do you get what I'm saying? And I could probably go further back and pinpoint things, but I definitely agree creativity really helped me on my career path because I could have been sitting, I'm not going to say the housing association's name, I could have been sitting behind a desk in a housing association just miserable, not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Do you get what I mean? And like you were saying, Shantelle, earlier, those things manifest. When we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, they manifest in other areas. Do you get what I mean? So I strongly agree that creativity plays a major role in career choices. And I think it probably plays a role in career choices and they're not even aware of that. That moves on to our next topic. What are your thoughts on the role of creativity when exploring pathway options? Do you think we should be looking at more creative ways in terms of pathways?
I kind of think that like things are changing so often, and a lot of the time there's jobs that you just don't even know or you're not aware of, or people, you know, or people just knock it down as a possibility and say, you can't do that, and things seem a bit out of reach. But I think a big thing, like for me, that I've really noticed has kind of helped me is social media. That is exactly how I found this. I personally, I don't really use much social media like for myself, but I kind of just started liking loads of organizations that I work with and organizations that I know, and then it comes up, whether it for better or for worse. it does recommend, however it does that, it does recommend stuff that it thinks, oh, you might be interested in this. And I think that has been, in terms of me finding opportunities, creative opportunities, really like utilizing social media and then kinds of events pages to get things out there. I think that for me has been kind of like a non-conventional, rather than searching for a job online. A lot of it is for me like on social media.
And I think you're right, because you know what? We've got a former member of the youth board, Connor. Great to have you a part of the youth board, Connor. And I know you're going to shine in wherever you are. But he's moved on from the youth board to becoming youth program coordinator within the Mighty Creatives. So he started trying to be part of being part of a youth board to naturally progressing to working within the Mighty Creatives, which is a creative. We're creative in the way we work, and we're a charity. So you can see how that's benefited one of the youth board members already. Then we've got another youth board member, Samantha, who's a creative mentor now. That you were saying, I think it's all steps. Things lead on to it. Once you explore, you can find other avenues of where you want to go. So yeah, I think I agree with that. Like social media is a creative way. The algorithm and that is a creative way of finding what you're into.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I think you've all made like really good points on that, but I think as well it's one thing that I like to think about is this, like oftentimes people, you know, when you get a job or, you know, something like that, people say, oh, you're so lucky. And, you know, I don't believe in luck. I think it's like preparation meets opportunity. Someone could say, oh, you're lucky you got this role on the youth board, or you're lucky, you know, moved up in the organisation. But I think you've got to put yourself in the right places. You've got to be trying to do things. Like, it's not going to come to you. Like, you've got to think creatively. Like, if you want to do something, then, you know, take steps towards that. It's not just going to come towards you, like, in any area of life, no matter what you do. So I think that's something that I think about.
I got a question for you for that. So, you know, with that resilience you're talking about there, do you think that came from knowing you wanted to be creative from a younger age? Do you get what I mean? So when you were saying like from 9 years old, you set up Shanimation, and then you realised that A-levels weren't for you, and you realised university wasn't for you. So the fact that you want to be creative kind of created a resilience and a bravery, do you know what I mean? Because there were people, probably not in a malicious way, they were saying, maybe you should try something a bit more stable, do you know what I mean? You need to go to university to be able to do this. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think sometimes as a creative, do you think as a creative that resilience is like a byproduct of creativity?
I think so.
It's quite a loaded question, like, innit? Like,
yeah.
I knew the answer already, but I'm not. But it's an interesting point, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think a lot of the time as well, when people are in their creative practice and doing what they love creatively, they feel like on top of the world. They feel powerful. They can take on anything. So I think it is sort of just like a byproduct. And if you know that is who you are, like you love this, like you live and breathe it, and like you could do this every day for the rest of your life, even for free, not even as a job, I think that then creates that resilience in you. So
100%. And I definitely think that resilience is inbuilt in a creative, because you've got to be resilient, do you know what I mean? Because a lot of the time, being a creative, it's a lonely role, do you know what I mean? It's a lonely road. Like, you might have people that are with you, but they're not with you in the moments when you're on your own. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think you need to have that bravery, resilience, and that courage to actually move forward. And so for that, within regards to a career, so whether that's education, employment, or training, you still need to be courageous there. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not saying all of us, but a lot of us, our previous experiences with education, employment, or training is kind of not. It's not been in sync with us, if that makes sense, as a creative. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes it doesn't align. Something has to give. Whether you give up making music or what it is to work wherever, I don't know, maybe just I can't think of an example, maybe a call center or somewhere. You might work in a call center and think, you know what it is right now? I need to get money because it's tough right now. The music might have to take a back seat. The painting might have to take a back seat, or this and that. Do you know what I mean? And I think you need to be brave to be like, nah, it's not taking a back seat. I'm going to make this work for me. Do you get what I mean? And I can see that within yourself, Shantelle. Do you know what I mean? And I'm getting to know you as well, Myles, and stuff like that. And I think it's definitely a byproduct of creativity, resilience. And that goes hand in hand with pathways, that belief and that faith. Moving on to, we've kind of touched on this already. What are your experiences of creativity and making career choices?
I would say probably for me, a lot of my stuff has been kind of like I study at university, studying for a master's course.
What do you study?
I study music psychology. Yeah.
Cool.
And but outside of that, what I do creatively is I lead a lot of workshops. So like as like a community musician type thing. So like I'll be like going into schools mostly, and I've just finished working with my first school, which is really nice.
Well done.
But a lot of that is like that job almost has no job description. It's kind of like there is a planning element to it where you're supposed to kind of have a rough idea, but it's mostly about getting in there, meeting the group, seeing what they can do, getting to know them all as individuals, and then just kind of thinking on the spot, like, right, I'm going to do this week. You know, how are you feeling today? Oh, I feel like this. Okay, we're going to do something that matches that. You know what I mean? And that for me, and that kind of like style of thinking has been like important thing in helping me, like, one, keep my job, and then two, like, move on to other jobs. But yeah, kind of practicing that creativity Yeah.
I like that. One of my mentors, his name's Wavy. He always says, this work here, it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When you're doing something you enjoy, it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that's kind of like when we were talking about like kind of bravery and kind of like following your purpose and stuff. It's really difficult, and you know it's not easy to kind of have all them things kind of like fall into place, and half the time it happens when you don't even realize. You kind of take a bit of a break for a second, then someone's like, oh hey, so kind of like I can't remember what I was saying, but
no, you was talking about your experiences of like creativity within the workplace. So when you're working in schools, you were saying there's not really a set way of teaching. It's all creative. You get to know the young people individually, and then you structure something from there, which I think is brilliant. That's kind of, that rings true with what TMC do with creative mentoring. So with creative mentoring, it's all child-led or young person-led. So the first question, more often than not, when a mentor meets a young person will be, what would you like to do today? Do you get what I mean? And everything's led by the young person. So sometimes you might have somebody that is a trained dancer, but when they go in, the mentee wants to cook biscuits. Yeah. So you're finding you're a dancer, but you're being creative in terms of, okay, cool, I'm a dancer, but I can use those same principles in baking biscuits with this young person. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I can kind of like relate to that because I suppose I would call myself a musician first and foremost, but I'm very aware that dance is connected to music, art is connected to music, and being able to draw upon all them things, and almost kind of like when you're like kind of leading activities, or you're thinking creativity like in work or working with an individual, that kind of comes down to kind of their identity, helping them make their own identity, their own pathway. Who do they want to be? How do they want to engage with the arts? And drawing on all these things, pulling things from everywhere, and building who they are, and what they want to be, what they want to do.
Yeah, I like that. What about you, Shantelle? You got any experiences of creativity and pathway choices?
I think it's like you've said, it's that flexibility. It's not being just resigned to just doing one thing. It's sort of just going with the flow of things. One day you might be thinking this, and then the next day you want to do something different. And I think it is just it's being adaptable, isn't it? Like, it's like, who made the rules anyway? You know what I mean? Like,
I love that. That is, you know what, you banged the nail on the head. Who made the rules? I feel like with creativity, the rules got out the window.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just like you can do like what you want. Like, if you want to do this one day, then you can go and pursue that. But then if you want to change your mind and pursue something different, then go do that. Like, it's like it's sort of on a spectrum. It's not fixed. You'll probably find that everything that you do sort of happens for a reason. Like, the work that you do in one part of your life will then like pop up like a few years later, like sort of random opportunities. So yeah, I think it's just not resigning yourself to one box, to one job title, like one description. I think
I completely agree, and I think a lot of creatives are freelancers. Do you know what I mean? The ones that I encounter anyway. So I think that alone is a massive bravery. Do you know what I mean? Because I freelance youth mentor. I work Monday to Wednesday at the Mighty Creatives. Then I freelance outside of that. And it's like, before I freelanced, I would never, ever have been brave enough to do that. Never. I was, this is how I used to describe it. I felt like at my old job, it was like a noose around my neck, the wage. Do you get what I'm saying? It was a noose. It kept me trapped because I was paid well. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes it's not always about being paid well. So because of that certainty of having that amount each month, when I get paid, it's like, oh, I can't take that leap. I can't do it.
It has you doubting yourself, doesn't
Absolutely.
it? Even if you're like, you're like you were saying earlier, Myles, about like your purpose, it is still like challenging.
Very daunting.
Like when you're faced with the reality of it, it does take
Trust me.
courage and resilience to actually just stick to it and believe and trust the process.
This is it. And by the time I did that, I've got 3 kids now. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's like, this has got to work kind of thing. So there was times where people were saying, you should come do some youth work. It's like, oh, I can't do that. I don't earn enough. But I'd always wanted to get involved. Yeah. And then when I took that leap, it's like, now I feel I can do anything. I'm not afraid of anything. Do you get what I mean? Like, as a creative, I feel like it's giving me like a superpower to where it's like, I'm not afraid of anything. Do you get what I mean? I'll go into any scenario because I'm able to think on my feet. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm confident in the abilities that I've picked up in life to be like, okay, we can manage it. And if worst comes to the worst, sorry, I don't understand that. Can you just explain that? Ask questions, do you know what I mean? And I think that's what I get from you guys as well and all the creators. It's like there's a strength, a confidence in being a creative. Do you get what I mean? Especially being freelance, because we're not afforded the same security as somebody that might be on payroll. Do you know what I mean? Am I making sense?
Yeah, I think even that it transfers outside of the workplace as well. Like when I was coming here today, I've had like a crazy morning. Like I was doing some training this morning, and then someone said to me, "Where are you going next?" I was like, "I'm going to Leicester." I was like, "I'm getting on the train." And it was just like it was that kind of like way of living is only something that's really kind of come to me in the past few years since I've started getting really into my kind of stuff. That kind of ability to just go, yeah. This might be a little bit daunting, but I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna do it.
and you grow in them scenarios. Do you get what I'm saying? There's a growth, an internal growth of being like you said, you was on training and so on. Like, where you going next time? I'm going Leicester. They're looking at you because like, what's going on there? You might have someone that's delivering the training. They're looking at you like, that's a bit mad. Like, what are you going Leicester for? But you know what it is? It's the passion that we have for. I wouldn't say for creativity itself. I feel like creativity is everything. It's all encompassing. Do you know what I mean? It's like air. Do you know what I mean? It's all around us, the creativity. So I wouldn't try and put it down to that. But I just think there's a power in it. Do you get what I mean? There's something uplifting. And like I can only explain it as I'm courageous. I'm not afraid of anything. Like, I go to most scenarios like, yeah, I can do that. And if I can't do it, I'll ask the question. I'm not afraid to ask the question. And I think before I became a freelancer, I wouldn't ask questions. I just kept my head down and just keep going. And if there's an issue, they'll let me know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's so important though, isn't it? Just to ask questions. Like if you don't know something or like you're unsure, like just ask. Like even if, you're thinking, oh, am I going to look like silly or something for asking this question? Like just ask, because like people aren't really going to be bothered. They'd actually probably appreciate you more for
100%.
explaining things or just asking about them. So I think that's probably something that I struggled with before when I was younger. Don't be afraid to like put your hand up and be the odd one out in that sense.
100%, man. And I know we're talking about creativity and pathways, and we've kind of touched on education and life and whatnot. And I think that makes so much sense, because I think creativity is a tool for life. Do you know what I mean? It's a tool for, it is a tool to help get into education, employment or training. It is a tool to go and experience. Do you get what I mean? I think it gives you more than just the actual art practice itself. And this is what I try and say to people, like when I talk to mentors, it's not necessarily the art form that you're going to show these young people, it's the journey from point A to point B. So that might be hour 1 to hour 24, do you know what I mean? We're looking at that journey because it's about the journey more than the actual activity. Do you get what I'm saying? Because it creates certain skills that we've touched upon on this episode today. Like we've touched on so many certain skills and attributes from creativity that we're saying it like it's normal, like it's not from that, but it is. Do you get what I'm saying? Like your jacket, you got Shanimation on there. Do you know what I mean? That's like thinking outside the box. And I think we're in a position of we're not afraid to think outside the box, and we're trying to pass that on like children in need. It's like, think outside the box, man. We're here to support that. Do you get what I'm saying? Have a go. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, and I think as well, like in the creative industry, like you've just said, we're all here to support each other, because you pick up so many other skills, you almost never know what the person next to you might know. So that kind of talking to each other and that, like, it's a supportive environment, or at least my experience of it has been,
Absolutely.
So yeah, to be brave and be confident and, talk to people and get out there.
100%, man. So, have we got any final thoughts? Because we're coming to the end. I'll go round. Shantelle, you got a final thought? Something we can leave with the young people that are listening in?
I think, like you just said, Levi, just go for it,
Like
just go for it. Give it a go. What is the worst that's going to happen? At the end of the day, we're just on a rock floating in space. You know what I mean? It's not that deep.
I'm not going to get my tin hat on there, innit? But yeah, okay. We're a rock floating in space. What do you say, Myles?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't want to sound like a cheerleader or something. Like, be brave, people. But yeah, pretty much does all them same messages. Like, just take risks, but talk to people alongside it. It's not something that, you know, you have to do by yourself. You know, there are communities out there, there are organizations, people willing to help. It's just using the kind of tools that you've got, whether that be your teacher, your phone, or, you know, social media, to try and find these opportunities, because they're all waiting for you.
Trust me, I like that. No, I really like that.
Go Myles.
I like that. My thing that I'd like to say is, don't be so harsh on yourself. Do you get what I mean? I think we've got the wrong connotations with failure in inverted brackets and loss in inverted brackets. I think anytime we've encountered a setback or an obstacle, it's allowed us to grow and gain more knowledge. Do you get what I mean? I think we come back stronger when we have certain difficulties. Do you get what I mean? Every time I've taken a loss, I've had to peel back layers and look deeper within myself and figure out how I can come back next. So I think just be kind to yourself, man. Don't be so harsh and just appreciate the experience. Yeah, man, thanks for that, guys. Right now we're going into the next section, and this is called Youth Board Member Spotlight. This episode's spotlight is Myles, the new member of the Youth Board. Hello.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, man. So we're going to ask you a couple of questions just to get a feel for you and whatnot. First question I wanted to ask was, what's your creative practice?
Yeah, so mostly I'm a musician, so I play guitar and flute, and pretty much just anything that I can get my hands on. Sometimes I make a little bit of music. I also really like to dance on the side.
Nice.
Nothing serious though, just a bit of like just dance here and there, you know. I work as a community musician in some schools, and I'm currently studying for a master's in music psychology.
Brilliant. I like that. I like that a lot. Have you got a favourite genre of music?
I don't want to be that person, but I just like to say a bit of everything, you know. I know that's like the worst answer that you could possibly give, but I'm not opposed. You know, I've got to keep an open mind.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I hear that. I can hear a twang in your accent. Whereabouts in the UK are you from?
Yeah, so I'm from a place called Runcorn. It's just a little town. They filmed a show there actually once. It was called like 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps.
My brother used to love that show. Oh man.
No, it was filmed in Runcorn. Yeah.
Okay.
That's claimed to. And I think once, I don't know whether this is true, but you know, Cathedral City Cheese. I think the bridge from the advert was the Runcorn Bridge. So
Yeah, I think we're reaching a bit
yeah,
there.
No.
We're reaching a bit, Myles. You had me with 2 packets of crisps and a pint of lager, but Cathedral City Cheese Bridge.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, I'll come back and...
Only you would know that, I suppose, isn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
Yeah.
We'll have to get a fact check on that.
Definitely. Fact check out, please.
I'll get my statistics out.
Wicked, that's great. Next thing I wanted to ask, what have you been working on recently? Is there anything you've been working on?
Yeah, so I'm very like geared towards uni at the moment. So we're saying this morning at the moment I'm helping out as an experimenter on a multi-lab study, which is comparing the differences in short-term memory between musicians and non-musicians, and it's really cool. There's it's happening in loads of countries across the world. And they're hoping that it's going to be like one of the final potential maybe studies on music and memory. They reckon
Really good.
They reckon they've got it in the bag with this one. So
Did they have a prediction?
yeah, well, I think it's basically they know that there's a difference in memory, in that musicians have a better short-term memory. It's more just they haven't done enough tests, I don't think, up until this point. So this is a very like thorough testing process. I think it takes about 2 hours for everyone to do the test. So yeah, but again, fact check me on that one.
Sounds really interesting, because as a musician myself, I think I agree with, I feel musicians' short-term memory might be better than a person that isn't a musician, only because they probably use it a bit more. Do you know what? In terms of remembering lyrics, patterns, songwriting, you know, things like that. It's a trained muscle.
Yeah, it's a lot of that kind of stuff. Something as well that I'm looking into at the moment is music and language, and that's kind of a similar thing where when you like hold on and learn musical information, the same parts of your brain that do that are also responsible for language processing. So there's this thing that they're kind of hinting towards, which is called like cross-domain transfer, which is basically saying like, does having a musical background, does that influence, you know, how easily you can learn new words, you know, because you've got a sensitivity to pitch, and
Yeah.
you're practicing and you're learning all these different kinds of things.
Oh,
So,
that's
yeah,
really
yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
Really interesting. Yeah, man, I like that, Miles. And what else I wanted to ask was, what does creativity mean to you?
Yeah, so I was kind of saying this, but yeah, creativity to me, literally the best way I can explain it is shower thoughts, you know, them kinds of thoughts that, you know, come to you in the middle of the night, and when you get them ideas at kind of 3 a.m. and you think, oh, I've got to write this down. Creativity to me is just taking all them ideas and putting it into some kind of art form or a discussion or anything kind of like that. Yeah, just taking them ideas that kind of come to you.
I really like that.
Yeah.
And lastly, final one, have you got any key achievements that you've got? You must have some key achievements. Something that you're proud of. It can be no matter how big or small.
I am probably most proud of just kind of, I suppose, just kind of like how my university stuff is kind of going. Yeah. I did a dissertation making music for pigs.
Interesting.
Yeah. And yeah, it's really cool. And I got to work with this pig sanctuary. And yeah, the pig sanctuary is called Pigs in the Wood, by the way, if anyone was interested. They have like, it's in Huddersfield. They have like 21 free-roam pigs. And they just go and they just live their lives. So I went there and I studied the pigs and made some music for them. And that's probably been one of the things that I'm most proud of.
That sounds really
recently.
good.
Yeah.
What was the results of that?
Well, I didn't get round to playing the music to the pigs, but I think I've concluded that a pig's favourite chord, I think, is a D sus2.
Okay, why? What made you think it was a D sus2, whatever that is, when it's at home drinking cups of tea?
Because all the same frequencies that are in that chord were in a lot of their vocalizations, and it's a specific type of vocalization.
Right.
So yeah, I've kind of, you know, I've put it all together. Yeah.
Oh, really interesting. Oh man, I wish I could sit with you all day and pick your brain, man. Right, I said that was the last question, but I lied. This is the last question. What I wanted to ask is, what do you hope to achieve from being part of TMC Youth Board?
Yeah. So for me, it's just kind of a lot of it is for me just kind of advocacy for the arts, advocacy for you know, creativity and all the kind of stuff that we've spoken about today. You know, I know, like in my own personal experience, you know, we spoke about how it can be difficult to sometimes maybe put yourself out there and really kind of get into it. So for me, I feel like everyone deserves to experience the arts in some kind of form. Everyone deserves to feel that. And yeah, I just want to help spread that message. You know?
Yeah, man, big up, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, you heard it. That's our youth board member spotlight, and that's Myles. Thank you, Myles, and welcome to the youth board.
Thank you.
To sign out, the final question, what we're going to ask is, if you could give your younger self a piece of advice, what would it be? And I think we'll start with Myles on this one.
Hey, that's such a difficult.
It's tough, innit?
Yeah. Because I think when you're younger, you just have no idea how anything's gonna go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I would just say, like, keep at it. You know.
Yeah.
Keep at it. Like, you know, things will change, and you just won't even know. Like, you won't even know how. So I'll just keep at it.
I like that. Thanks for that, Myles. What about you, Shantelle?
I would probably say just don't be afraid to do things differently. Like, you know, don't worry about what other people are doing. Think about what you want to do, and just go with that, because that's what matters. So even if it's different to everyone else around you, just stick on your path, because you'll still find people who are similar to you. You know, you're not on your own in anything, especially in the creative industries. So yeah, just keep going and be yourself.
I reckon I'm going to steal that one and be the same as you, because I think that's so true. Just keep going, and it will work out. Do you get what I'm saying? You just got to just keep plodding along and just trying things. Don't be afraid to do what you want to do. Do you get what I mean? Do what you want. And I think sometimes we're under pressure as young people. I need to go college and university because my mum wants me to go. Do you get what I mean? But I want to go make music or play football or something like that. So I think try your best to just do what you want to do, because it's only you that can live your life. Do you know what I mean? Went a bit deep there, didn't I? Yeah, man, signing out, man. The Mighty Voices podcast. My name's Levi Knight. Thank you, Shantelle, for joining me. Thank you for joining me, Myles. It's been really good to meet you today. And yeah, tune in for the next one. Until next time, bye.